You are a big part in my origin story. I've been called woke, I've been called Trump, I've been called everything. My job is being the conduit from the story on the ground in America, because we're all in our own bubbles. There can be humor, there can be lightness, there can be but I want depth so you walk away like you got something, you didn't just waste your time.
A lot of the world is a projection of our own minds.
Yeah.
And if you think things are negative, or if you're feeling negative, it's negative. It's like you're saying things are shifting where people are trying to want to be more united, wanting to be more happy, then that kind of creates that reality.
Online reality and the on-the-ground reality, totally separate. Good questions, Juki.
So introducing Peter Santenello, old friend, comrade. Welcome to Austin, Texas.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Juke.
So rolling through, you have a lot of things in your message, seeing the world, gathering perspectives, being really on the ground and knowing things as opposed to just listening to the propaganda, all the TV, movies.
Dude, let's stop.
Yeah.
You're very stiff. We're buddies.
Yeah.
It's like you just met me for the first
You're right,
time.
you're right.
Like you're all formal. Dude, we're going to talk about...
I am nervous right now because you were just like crotchety for half an hour, so now I'm like...
Dude, let me tell your audience where we started.
Okay, let's do it. Is it on?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Okay.
You got to roll all this stuff. Your Game Tree audience needs to know, I think it was 2014. We were in San Francisco. We hung out back in those days. And Monday mornings, the polar bear swim in the water, 7 a.m.
Working out, freezing our asses off.
All year round. So even in the depths of winter, people think California, those outside of it, warm water, it's always nice. Well, that's cold water. Always cold water in San Francisco. We'd get breakfast afterwards. There was a group of us, and you were talking about how you wanted to, develop a dev team, and you were going to go to Russia. And I was like, bro, why not Ukraine? It's easier to get a visa there. It's going to be a little more American friendly, I would think. Probably easier in Kyiv to find people than, say, Moscow.
And then it has the smaller military, though.
Right, but you went over, surprised all of us. Actually, you got on the plane and went. And we were like, no way, he actually did that. I came that following summer to visit, right? And I was in this weird transitional period of life, like, what am I doing next? I had a startup going down the toilet. My other business was barely keeping me afloat. And when I left Ukraine, your apartment, you said, hey, Peter, you told me to come to Ukraine. Why don't you come over here? And then I thought about that the whole flight home, landed in SFO. And by the time I landed, I was like, yeah, I got to go over there. And I subletted my apartment. It was like 6 months later. Subletted my apartment for 3 months to stay with you because you had an extra room. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back. But I'm really in this flux period of life. Don't know what I'm going to do. I've always wanted to make videos about the world. And hey, I can get my costs down to like 1/3, 1/4 of San Francisco. And so I went over there. We lived together for a bit. You're a good roommate, Juke. We had our little moments, right? And your girlfriend and my eventual girlfriend clashed over bathroom time. Remember?
Yeah, they did.
Remember, there's a little bit of caddish energy in the house.
Before we go too far, I remember you had the rest of your trip planned originally.
Yeah.
You had so much fun in Ukraine, you skipped the whole rest of your trip.
That's true. I was going to go back to Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the early stages of video making, I was like, I want to show Americans the world, not London and Rome, but places like Ukraine, the Middle East. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And I was like, trying to figure out what I would do and how I would speak on camera. And it was so stressful. I'm like, what am I doing? How am I going to make this work?
You were freezing your ass off.
Freezing
for like
my
hours,
ass.
coming back like a popsicle, super stiff.
But you're a bit eccentric enough where you were one of the guys that you just had support in good words, as crazy as the idea was. Where most people, I had other friends who are like, how are you going to make money? What are you going to do? Like, how's this going to be a career? And you were like enough on the fringe, and I mean that as a compliment, Juke, where you're like, yeah, that's a great idea. Hey, try this. And
you got to be a little crazy to do something crazy.
You have to be a bit crazy to do something crazy. And then I moved in with a family in the countryside of Ukraine, shot a 6-part series,
BBC came out, news reporters
right.
were going out to the countryside.
Because that was so on the edge, this Yank guy in the middle of the countryside in Ukraine, it's now Russian territory where I was.
The only business was a post office in town, right?
In a little shop. And it was so free, it was so on the edge even for Ukrainians, that's why it worked. Because most Ukrainians in Kyiv or Kharkiv, they were like, we're never gonna live in a place like that with no running water. We dug a well physically, right? And it worked in Ukraine, and then I realized, hey, maybe I got something here. And I just want to set the table with that, Juke, because we have a history. It's not just us meeting up. You are a big part in my origin story of what I'm doing right now.
I remember you like not knowing where to take it at first. We were like, I'll show how well I can pack my suitcase. And I'm like, Peter, the thing that keeps coming up, that like I know you, and your story is you were pissed off that when you were growing up, everybody told you that the world's this big, dark, scary place. Soviet Union, Cold War is going on. And like to me, it was really clear, but I think because that isn't a message that the world's used to, you kept slipping into those boxes. But really it's like, you care about the people, about the truth, and about dispelling the myth that everybody's scary and the world's this dangerous place. You mentioned this is a bit crazy to launch into something like this.
Yeah.
Will you share some more about like what were the craziest parts, or if somebody else is doing something crazy, like how can they ride that line between being authentic and taking risk and not having to slide into like rage bait, hate, drama to get attention?
I'll just speak from my perspective and experience. The rage bait, looking for attention, is a dead-end road, because then you become what you do to some degree. If you're working all the time on something, and if you want to get something online going, you're going to have to put everything into it. Maybe there are examples where you don't, but for me, I had to. You'll become that thing, and do I want to be some ragey, edgy, metastasized, old crudgemon guy yelling at the camera about whatever policy? No. So you don't have to do that, and my channel is proof of that. My channel is proof that there are a lot of people fatigued by the political dialogue, social media, how it works with dopamine being the number one thing to get you excited in a heavy negative way. Not saying all social media does that at all, but that's a model that a lot of people gravitate towards.
Especially the new generation.
I just don't want to live like that. And I don't think it's long lasting either. I mean, to last a long time on social media is hard in the first place. But you're going to fatigue, and then it's sort of like doing super extreme sports, which I did back in the day. I did extreme comp snowboarding. And I remember Kirkwood, California, I got second the last day. The guy that beat me dropped like this 65-foot cliff to like a flat, terrible landing. And if he was off by a quarter inch, he would have been paralyzed probably, right? And I'm like, okay, to win that game, I'm gonna have to even go more insane, and that is not sustainable. And I think with the rage baity stuff, there's always gonna be someone that comes up that can be more enraged, that will do it better. I guess you could say that for everything, even for what I'm doing. Someone can come up and do it better than me and then and take my lunch, but I just don't see a healthy life in that. And I mean, our stuff's all long form. It's proving that long form can work. And if someone's watching this, they've gotten this far, then long form is working, right? Because I feel like it's either really short or long. We're now doing hour videos. Before it was like 25 minutes. And when we did like a 40-minute video, we're like, whoa, is anyone gonna watch that? Is it too long? And now they're all like an hour.
It's interesting. So it's not about like it won't make you successful. It's more like it's a short-term road, and it's going to make you unhappy, and therefore you lose. You've also mentioned around like consistency, sacrifice, saying no to things.
Huge. So how long am I into this? Like full time, 7 years, and we post three Saturdays a month. And last Friday night, I was up until 1 a.m. So it's still like that. Do you want to do that? Now, if I was doing something, this is where purpose comes in. Mm-hmm. I'd say more purpose than passion. If it didn't fulfill me in a way, I would have fried out.
And
if
passion's fleeting.
passion's fleeting, and if it was, say, an underwear company, right, and you're 7 and up until 1 in the morning, I'd probably be fried out, no matter how well it's doing financially. But again, that's me. Everyone's wired differently. I think the main thing is you have a younger audience,
Mostly.
younger than me.
Yeah, mostly.
Just figuring out what interests you the most. And that took me forever to figure out, like, what I was going to do. And now with YouTube, it's going to change. You can't foresee where it's going to be in 2-3 years. Not the platform. Well, that definitely you can't foresee, but what you're going to be doing. I started this channel after that series in the countryside. I thought it'd be a great idea to interview Ukrainian oligarchs in a podcast format. Nobody liked that. Nobody found it interesting. The channel just, like, I went from people loving what I was doing to like, to nothing. So
What you're doing now seems the most authentic to you, though.
yeah, because it's all US centric, and I feel after traveling to 85 countries, living in 4 countries outside of the US, this is where I'm needed the most, as in I can create the most positive impact, because I'm everything from the Amish to the Bloods and Crips and everything in between, showing Americans part of the country outside of a political narrative for the most part in a positive way. I mean, it gets heavy, but it's an antidote to the rage bait right now that we see in the country.
So the reason Peter is actually in town right now is because he was approached to write a book, and you're doing podcasts, interviews, and stuff like that. I have a copy of it right here.
Yeah, dude. I signed it for you.
Your fellow Americans, dispatches from across the country we call home. And yeah, they look a little signature. We share a bit about what is this book, what does it mean to you, why should people read it?
Okay. So, firstly, people are reading less these days, including myself. I'm forcing myself to read more, but it just seems harder, just the world we're in. This is 10 stories. So you can 4 parts, 10 stories. So here we go. Deep Appalachia. You can read that, and in 30 pages, you're done. You can pick up the book another time, even months later if you wanted.
I've been enjoying the Amish one, like the way you
Amish,
write, like
yeah.
the commenting on the different types of Amish that you can judge by their buggies that they have.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, this is like the Maserati of the Amish, and this is like the old school ones.
There's a lot to it. But so it's an easy read in that sense, where there's not a through narrative, like character development throughout the whole book, where you got to like take off a big bite. And I realized where a lot of people are right now with reading, it's much easier to read that way. So 10 stories, basically my favorite ones from the US, and then a backstory about me straight out of high school. And for your young audience, this chapter is called The Road Trip That Started It All. Everything comes from something, and because of that trip, it led me to where I'm at now. It was sort of the founding, I don't know, monumental experience that put me on the course of life. And you really don't know, it's so hard. I mean, this is a Steve Jobs quote, right? Like, you can never see it, something like you can never see it from, looking forward, but it's only when you can look back and connect the dots. He said it differently and more eloquently, but that's a big lesson, because I didn't know what I was really going to do till about 40 years old. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on young people to have it all figured out, there's so much competition with social media, keeping up, and not for everyone obviously, but from what I'm seeing, it's like I drifted for a long time, like doing jobs I didn't love because I wanted to travel, because hey, if I did that job that hunkered me down 50 weeks a year, there's no way I could travel.
Yeah,
so I'm
the
not going
journey
to take
was the
choice.
destination too, along that.
It was, yeah. But my goal was get as much world experience before the age of 40 and figure out the money part after. So money wasn't a driver. It's still not a driver. If I didn't love what I was doing, I wouldn't be doing it. And here's the thing, you won't survive. If you lose a love and interest in the thing, online, there's too much competition. And intuitively, the audience can sense right away, hey, this guy's not into it anymore. And they're watching something else.
And I want to share with you guys, Peter's like one of the most authentic people I've literally ever met. You, like, a straight shooter. You don't care about like schmoozing with famous people or attention.
When I was
like, you haven't changed at all since we've met. Through your travels, you meet a lot of characters. Who's the one person that keeps coming back to you?
There's an island, Smith Island, in Maryland, where they still speak, some of the old timers still have an Elizabethan dialect, you know, from England. Mm-hmm. That old English, Elizabethan English accent. His family's been on the island 374 years, and it's like stepping into another country, another world, but you're in the U.S. Old classic crabber, seamen, or they call them watermen. There's just a ton of that. We got so many cool, interesting characters in this country. Every one of these stories, I picked out the best characters
choose from.
because on the channel, there's just north of 400 videos. I'm like, who's going to be the most interesting for the audience? You know, what are the characters I want to write about?
And you have your YouTube, Peter Santenello. Why would someone want to read the book compared to only watching YouTube videos?
Oh, good question. Okay, ton of behind the scenes stuff. The power button goes on, it goes off. A lot of stuff happens when it's off. And so, stories like in Amish country, being locked out of the house because the cats are meowing in the morning, and I go outside to feed them because they're meowing food, and the door closes behind me, and I'm in my underwear, and it's a keypad, and my phone's inside, and so the sun's coming up, and it's like one of those metal security blankets. You know, they reflect all the light. Mm. That's how I look out there. I'm in my underwear, the backside of this house. The cats are fed, and I'm like, I hear the hooves on the pavement, and it's the Amish. The Amish are coming. The Amish are coming. And the old order Amish with steel wheels, and the Schwarzentroopers, the most conservative of all the Amish. And I'm like, okay, I went around the house, tried to get in a window, tried to get in the front door. No luck. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Do I show up at the super conservative Amish family's home? This big bald dude in my underwear? Like, with all their kids around? Or what is my other option?
So what do you do?
Smash glass.
You smashed the glass.
I had to smash glass. I had a shoot I had to get to. I flew all the way up to Ohio for the shoot. And I had to get out there. And like, what do you do? There's those two options.
Yeah.
Option A is knock on the Amish's door almost naked.
That's a pretty hard judgment call.
I just didn't think that would go. So I smashed glass. Of course, I called the Airbnb host and said, I smashed your glass because of the situation. I'll pay for the new glass and whatnot. So the point being, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or the Amish call everyone non-Amish English. And depending on how conservative an Amish person is, you know, they're not going to be able to drive, but they can take rides from the English. This guy promised me a video with his buddies.
I'd be English to them.
You'd be English. A black dude would be English. Everyone's English. An Asian woman would be English. So he's like, yeah, I can bring you into my buddy's shuffleboard tournament. It's all Amish in this barn. I'm like, oh, killer. That's going to be awesome. I drove like an hour to pick him up, another 45 minutes to the place. I started to shoot, and he's like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, well, and I'm like, I'll just feel it out. And I felt it out as in, don't shoot any video here. And then I drove him all the way back to his place. I drove all the way back to my place. And an Amish buddy of mine said later, yeah, he's just using you for a ride. That's it.
Wow.
Totally played me. So a lot of stuff like that, a lot of internal thoughts that come through, you know, long after I leave a place. And a lot of F yeah, I get charged up on America type stuff. not overtly like with fireworks, but with, hey, despite all our issues, there are all these cool things in this country. With all the heaviness, borderline darkness at times, when you don't look at the internet, when you just get out and about, most people are great. Most people are cool. And there's a ton of opportunity. And I might hear, no, there's not. And I'm like, okay, what are you comparing it to?
In the past, like, you were born into a role, and that was your role your whole life.
Yeah.
There was no social classes moving, juggling, shifting around. It was all that way. So relative to that, we're in abundance.
And the technology is there. I can make a life off of YouTube now. 10 years ago, not happening. And I tried this in 2012, doing a teaser. I went over to the Republic of Georgia, shot a video to pitch a teaser to production companies in LA and to networks, and they all just laugh, they're like, who are you? And what, you just want to talk to people and see what they think about the world? What? No. Like, they're all like, no. And then YouTube wasn't, I don't think it was the thing where you could really live at that point, or at least I didn't think it was. So the traditional route was impossible for me. And until YouTube really came along, there was no plan B, there was no alternative, right? So just that time, like a lot of things in life are timing. When I was in my 20s, this was not an option at all. Like, I did the so-called deplorable work. I detailed cars, I waited tables. I did the grunt work because I wanted to travel, and I knew the detailing business was seasonal. I could leave for an extended period of time, and restaurant work I could always get in and out of. Wasn't glamorous, doesn't sound cool at cocktail parties, but it allowed me to do what I loved the most, which was see the world. There was a lot of, none of this came easy. It was a ton of work and a ton of pain and unknown, and it all could go away tomorrow too. I get that.
We're in a weird place in the world right now. And it seems like with more materialism, more dopamine, more just shit happening faster and faster, the importance of values is kind of not as present as it used to be. Like, so much of life used to be all about values.
Right.
And now some people aren't even that aware what that even means. And one of the reasons I really wanted to interview you and talk to you and share you with Wolf Eyes or Game Tree audience is because there's certain values that I think are more relevant now than ever that we share and that I try to funnel into the community. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to tap on those a little bit.
Okay.
The ones that come to mind are, one is like the power of strong, independent people. Strong people create strong societies, things like that. I'm going to share a little bit, and then I want to just hear you elaborate, thoughts, stories, wherever you want to run with it. Another one is unity. It's a lot of people are doing outrage, tribalism, extremism. People profit off of like negative emotions more than positive emotions when it comes to virality and such. So the power of unity, and why is that important? For example, in Game Tree, it's a platform for people to make friends. It's playing with people and being able to respect each other, whether you're in different political parties, religions, or whatever. People that are different, being able to disagree and respect each other. And for you especially, traveling, meeting all these drastically different people, you don't always agree with them, but you respect them. And I think that's one of the things that stands out most to me about you, is that you're not trying to change people's minds and push your opinions, but you care so much about like, what are the facts, what are the truths, I'm going to understand the perspective, and I'm going to respect them regardless. So I think those are the pieces that are kind of getting muddled nowadays. And to just share one story is coming out of mountains in Mongolia, being off-road, traveling on horseback, no roads or anything. I came back and the Game Tree community had exploded. All the moderators were at war with pitchforks, and it was like the last thing I wanted to deal with after coming back from like the peaceful nature. And what had happened was that there was basically a big dispute over whether there should be free speech or whether people should be more conscious of people's traumas and protection and stuff like that. And a lot of it cruxed on a community member who I actually invited to be a moderator who'd been through a very traumatic event that influenced her life a lot, and it was very empowering for her to be able to like help keep community safe and stuff, but then it started to go in an extreme direction. I personally came down on the side of free speech is okay as long as you're not purposely being an asshole.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have free speech, it's like a downward spiral where people just need more and more padding and cushions, and they become weaker and weaker. And that's something that I think is important, because in the short term, it's nice to accommodate people, but if you do it too much, then eventually everybody needs everything accommodated.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that you would think more in that kind of way, where it's about what's the truth and valuing people's opinions.
Yeah.
Will you share with me and us more about your thoughts around this, where this comes from, how it shows up in your works, and any stories or anything?
Comes from upbringing a little bit. For example, 80s? Yeah, I was born in 77, so end of Gen X.
Yeah.
What was the number one thing our teachers were telling us?
Whoever wins the fight in the playground is right.
No, war ball was pretty savage, but what they would teach us is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And they like drilled that into us, right? And then I went to this, I was a terrible student in high school. My parents sent me to this, I grew up in Vermont, as you know, this startup hippie school, highly disorganized. But what they did really well was foster critical thinking skills. So we would be in a round table, like small classroom, helicoptering any third rail issue. Okay, Peter, you're going to argue for. Sebastian, you're against. Okay, 5 minutes each. Everyone's listening. Okay, now change roles. Okay, Peter, you're against, you're for, whatever topic it is.
They did that at your school?
Yes, and then we would
Wow.
all discuss it afterwards.
That's unusual.
So if it was these days, it would have been, like the last few years, it would have been COVID. It would have been BLM. It would have been Jan 6.
And there's only one correct answer to all those at that time.
Yeah, but in our classroom, there wouldn't have. And it's basically whoever's argument is better and backed by more credible evidence wins the day. But it was done in a respectful way. So that's how I want to be treated. That's how I want to be treated. And so I want to sleep well at night. So I treat my audience that same way. Now, with your question about being in a forum, in a group, look, it's easy to be a keyboard warrior, Facebook tough, or what are they on TikTok? Your audience? TikTok tough?
YouTube.
Okay,
yeah.
YouTube. And that's easy to sit in a keyboard and not deal face to face with like, hey, Juke, you're a effing whatever. So it's not really happening in real life nearly as much, obviously, because you're not held accountable directly. I would say, look, if I had a platform online, if someone is just consistently a D-bag, I'd probably ask them eventually, like, you're offering this community nothing except your rage. Give them a few chances. But other than that, I'm a free speech absolutist within the law. Because as you say, you start pushing that stuff underground, you start accommodating everyone's needs. What I consider offensive is different from what the next person. There's also humor, there's also intention.
And in the scheme of things, it changes.
I have dry Northeast humor. I'll rip it out, right? And it's like done in good fun. And that can be taken out of context. Everything can be taken out of context. And I don't take it, I guess in the beginning online, people would write comments, you take it way more personally. Because you're insecure, you don't know what you're doing.
The
and
comments
it's like,
on your videos are like unusually positive. I don't know if I've ever seen anything negative, despite you shining the light on all these misunderstood and often prejudiced against communities.
actually the last video we did, there were some heavy ones in there.
I haven't seen them.
But okay, I've been called everything, neo-Nazi skinhead. I've been called woke. I've been called Trump. I've been called everything. Like all ends of it. And it's so stupid. It's like I like to sort of, when someone's in one of my videos and maybe someone writes a comment about them, I always say, look, imagine you're walking down the streets here in Austin and some guy drunk on the ground, like hardly there, is like, hey, you're fat. Are you gonna take offense by that dude? You're not gonna at all. But for some reason online, when it's in words, people, if they're not accustomed to it, might take offense by it. which think of who you have to be as a person to get on someone's video or their content and write something really vile. I mean, good criticism, fantastic. I love it. And stuff like disagreeing with me, all about it. I learn a lot of times from that. Even if it's tough at first, I'm like, dude sort of got a point, right? So I think all that's good, but taking offense to really outlandish, stupid things, I don't get it.
It's a lot of energy.
It doesn't make any logical sense. I forget who the creator was, but he was like, he's a big name. I remember who it is, but I don't want to say it to put anyone under the bus.
And that's an example of you're not here to give opinions. Your opinion is like free speech is good. It's not like you have to believe this specific thing.
Exactly. But he said, I get so emotional if someone speaks negatively on my comment. I've been brought to tears and I get so emotional about it. I'm like, that's so bizarre. If it's like one of these outlandish, you're a Nazi or whatever the pejorative of the day is, I don't know why you would take it personally. I know you don't take that stuff personally.
Okay, now speaking of you being a Nazi,
Yeah.
you look like a CIA agent or like a Navy SEAL or something. I know a Navy SEAL that you look very similar to, or Mr. Clean. How are you able to like get people to open up, feel so comfortable, be really raw and like authentic with you? And how do you know when they're being real?
I mean, I can't speak for them why they're talking to me, but I can say my approach is I'm honestly curious and interested, and if I wasn't, people can feel that a mile away.
People can freeze in front of cameras, and you're so good at just cracking people open.
Yeah, I always say I'm making a YouTube video. A lot of it's psychology, so I break it down to even having a shooting with a GoPro, no cameraman. DSLR in your face. This looks serious. Little GoPro here. Hey, I'm making a YouTube video. What are your thoughts on what's going on in town here? And most 85% want to talk. 15%, 20%. No, I'm not interested. Totally get it. Respect it. I only want someone to be on camera if they want to be on camera.
But like if somebody else was the one trying to get them on camera, that number might shift to like 60 or 50%. Do you have any like mentality or like tactics or anything that makes it easier for people to like trust you and feel safe?
Tactics? No, I'm myself. I'm interested in
That
their
is
story.
one, is that you're very authentic, and therefore that's one form of safety. Is if like you, even in uncomfortable situations for most people, can throw out like curveballs and jokes and like situational wit, and that makes people feel at ease. Because if you're stressed, that can make other people stressed.
Yeah, you can't be stressed.
So Peter, now I'm gonna ask you the question you always ask me every time you call.
Oh yeah.
So Peter, what macro trends are you seeing right now? What's going on in the world? What are you noticing?
I always say that to you.
Yeah, you do. What do you see right now that's like outside the current cultural zeitgeist? Are there any
It's always like you want to see what's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Especially with content, like get there before it becomes popular or mainstream or other people do it.
It's also just interesting, you know, as a person to know the thing that isn't already everywhere.
No, I think we're just in great times in regard to being interesting. It's not boring. And so what I'm seeing is a coming together.
More
Honestly,
unity.
I think there's a fatigue from most people right now. I'd say the majority of people aren't so happy with the political climate or just the way things.
It's a record low right now.
So many things are going. A lot's coming to a head. A lot of information is coming out that we never had access to before, and I think there's just a fatigue happening.
People are just tired of being pissed off.
Yeah,
Tired of being anxious.
I think so. And so I do see a coming together down the road.
Something with AI that's freaking a lot of people out is, yes, it can take jobs, especially entry-level jobs, which is challenging and part of why I feel compelled to help young people, especially. Also, a lot of the role models are very extremist, where it's like red pill, like hatred on one side, or like everybody should always be in therapy all the time, or else there's something wrong with you on the other end, and not much in the middle. So that's what makes me feel more.
Something's wrong with me then, Jude. I'm not going to therapy.
Yeah, And then you need to have a red pill for every morning with your breakfast. So what I'm seeing is that a lot of the world is a projection of our own minds.
Yeah.
And if you think things are negative, or if you're feeling negative, it's negative. So if the shift, like you're saying, things are shifting where people are trying to want to be more united, wanting to be more happy, then that kind of creates that reality. And even though something like AI is scary, maybe in the long run, it's actually going to be the best thing ever, because at the end of the day, humans are like pro-social animals. We love seeing each other happy. We want to entertain each other, support each other. And eventually that's going to trickle into politics, where it's like we want something more fair, or something that works for everybody, or we want the AI to like improve everybody's lives instead of make most people's lives worse.
Yeah.
Even just having like a doctor or a lawyer in your pocket is normally out of the reach of most people.
Yeah.
And now everybody can do that.
Yeah.
So that's just building off of what you said in the terms of macro trends. Are there any other things you're picking up or comments on that?
Well, with that, I use AI. I like it for what I use it for. What are the potential threats? Okay, those seem, it could spiral in a bad way. I'm just not too concerned about it. Maybe I should be. I'm just not. I'm not overthinking it. I do have a question though, like, let's just say it makes every industry 30% more efficient. So that's accounting, that's law, whatever the industry is, customer service. What's the replacement? Every like industrial revolution that happens, it goes from, went from the fields into the factory. Right? Yeah. This one's going, let's just say everything gets skimmed 30% for ease of, for economy of words, let's say. 30%, where's that 30% going? And you can say something like, hey, 20 years ago, making videos on YouTube wasn't even a thought. It wasn't anything. That's when it started, right? But like, make a life off of that.
Do you have an opinion on this, where it's going? Or you're just saying that's the trend and it's going to go somewhere?
No, I don't have the answer to that question, and I ask everyone.
I have an answer.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a hope. It's not a guaranteed thing, but I think the next stage is more like, not just services, but like human care and attention, like real
I would
caring,
like to
art,
see that.
Like custom art, creativity, less of like the top tier thing, because more people can make top tier things now that the things are better. So it's more about like more people being creators. The challenge is that it's going to take time to re-engineer our economy to like make it rewarding to do that, as opposed, like maybe 100 times as many people can make movies, for example, but we also have to maybe like shift some knobs to make sure that it's not just like the 1% that's capturing more and more. But that seems to me where this is kind of going, because at the end of the day, everybody has their passions, has their unique combinations of things and experiences that they can express.
I was thinking you were going more towards help and care, as in
that too.
Social services.
Yeah, I think it's more like soul driven.
Like one of the topics that's touched on in my channel, drug usage in this country, the fallout from fentanyl, people on the streets, homeless. I think that we're like really off with right now as a culture,
in
society, and I think that could come into a place where, hey, there's a lot more attention on that segment of society, and so we need workers for that. Sorry,
touching on that,
yeah.
I know so many highly empathetic people. I feel like almost everybody is highly empathetic once you get past the walls and stuff, that want nothing more than to like be a therapist or help homeless people for real. But our system right now doesn't channel much resources there. But with all these gains from AI,
that's not true. There are a lot of resources in certain jurisdictions for those things. It's just they get squandered.
Yeah, and they don't get measured too.
It's not measured, really inefficient, no standards, and so it's not always money, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I guess just on a day-to-day level, I see a lot of people that are like, I want to show up here, but it's just like, it seems like there's a limited number of jobs or something.
Yeah, and I do think in creation, though, you're saying like everyone want more content. The internet's more saturated now than it's ever been before. There are only so many eyeballs to consume. I don't know if like there's an endless amount of content that can be produced, because like few are gonna suck up most of the eyeballs. And so how do you make it online to get at a high level on YouTube where you can make a good living, where it's consistent? It's literally like becoming a pro athlete in a way. It's not an easy accomplishment, and it doesn't come quick, and the competition is fierce. And so what's your shtick? What's your unique angle that's gonna get people's attention? Because it seems like everything's been done a million ways.
The way I see it is that if we have to re-engineer the system a little bit to make it work for people, but you don't have to have like millions of audience. If you have just like a few hundred people around the world that never would have discovered you, that you're like the person that resonates with them the most. And that leads into what I see as a big macro trend is curation. Like the biggest form of value add is becoming not creating more, but actually cutting away the noise and curating to somebody's unique identity in a way that's like trustworthy, authentic, creating value for that person.
I was just thinking the economics of it. Like if you're trying to make a living off ad revenue, you do need numbers.
Yeah, but what I'm speaking, and that's why I said I think things might get worse before they get better, but in the long run, I see some sort of change needed on an infrastructural level, whether it's like changing how taxes work or like subsidies or something like that.
And also, like, how do you measure how bad something is if you're not measuring against something else? So for example, if you take the United States, if you haven't left it, you haven't kicked around the slums of the hood of Karachi, Pakistan, or in Uganda, or places that can be really rough, like how do you compare to here? That doesn't discredit the challenges people have, the high cost of things, how much housing has gone up, let's say. But even that can be broken down into housing's gone up in our popular cities. Miami through the roof.
It's more than New York now.
You're right. But there's still, and this is just my, like, I'm going to hack away no matter what mentality. If I was young right now, I didn't have much money, but I wanted to buy a house, I might move to Little Rock. I did a video in Little Rock, met this young couple. He's a bartender. She does something else in service. They bought a sweet home for $182,000 with a nice back lawn. It's a great home, and Little Rock has a bad reputation. I actually liked it. I liked a lot of it. And they're like, yeah, our mortgage isn't that bad. And with my job, just standard job as a bartender, we still travel every year and we're not house poor. And so I'm just saying are you comparing to Switzerland? Because Switzerland, you're not getting anything for $182,000. Like that is not happening. In a lot of places, as crazy as our real estate is, not everyone gets to live in San Francisco. Not everyone gets a Ferrari. I wanted to live in San Francisco when I left Tahoe, and I wanted to go back to school. I had to pay my own way, and I just couldn't afford it. So I moved to Reno. You know how cool Reno sounded back then? Not cool. Everyone's like, you're ruining your life. You messed up so hard. You're moving to Reno. And I'm like, hey, I can afford it. And
you owned a home?
I bought a home there. It was not 896 square feet, tiny, no AC in Reno. My friends called it the hot box. I mean, it cooled down enough at night, you put a fan in the window. But it was my own thing. And now Reno's expensive, but there are like a lot of options still. It might not be what you want. It might not sound as cool as San Francisco or Miami. But comparatively, a lot of Europe is harder to pull it off with a home right now than here.
I think something that people also maybe don't understand or appreciate to the full degree is that a lot of our happiness is based on our expectation floor. And when we're comparing things to like what gets the most glitz and glam and is like shared and what's promoting itself, that becomes a floor, but then it's not really that realistic to achieve for most people because it's a limited thing. I think people can really do that if they really tap in and drive hard, but the best thing is to like if you go to a movie that you think is gonna suck, and you watch it and it's actually okay,
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, that was actually pretty good. Or if you think it's going to be amazing and it's like mediocre, then you're disappointed. And that's what's showing up for me when you talk about expanding people's considerations to like, you know, like maybe living in a big city is like the thing they expect or what they think is going to make them happy. And if they're not doing that, they're unhappy. But to really honestly check in deeply and be like, could I actually be happy in a place like that and it not be a disappointment?
Yeah, and I had a great time living in Reno. I had good buddies there, and it wasn't what I wanted at first, but I made the best of it. And after seeing so much of the world,
There's a big difference between people approaching a conversation rationally and able to change their minds and fact-based, and then there's the side where there's like self-interest, and then there's stories that way into that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will, like we all do it, will go into a conversation and just try to like be more right and walk away just trying to entrench our camps. You being somebody who's traveling a lot, seeing a lot of perspectives, talking to a lot of people, and with the purpose of your work being to actually give people facts, what are your thoughts on this tendency, especially now, where it's so much more about like narratives than rationality and truth and dialogues?
it's just a myopic way of looking at life, I think, in navigating life. For me, the North Star is truth. If the stats I just gave are incorrect, right? Like, I iterate. I want truth as the North Star. Why do I want to, why would I like nail down in some, like be entrenched on that? I don't understand why.
And what do you think is the
like
value of thinking that way, and how can people think more that way?
Well,
Why do you think people are getting caught up more and more in like deep entrenched bubbles?
Because classical liberalism or the Enlightenment principles peaked, and now we've come off them. So that was all about science and reason. Like, science is always changing, right? And you shouldn't have an interest or a dog in the fight other than figuring out what the truth is. Why has it come off? I don't know. It's just...
Or how to bring it back more. Like, I know watching your channel, for example, is one example. But, you know, people that are outside the bubble, or like, how is it that you get through to people opening their minds? An observation from me is just your way of being is you're not trying to push an agenda, and it's like the same way people open up to you.
But but the goal in life, I'm a tangible learner. I wasn't great in school. So I learn by doing, feeling, using my senses, conversation. And now you can't always get to the study or, for example, in doing so. But when I get out into a place and into a topic, then I have experience with it. Then I can go home and start doing the research on it. I almost do it the reverse way. And it works for my videos because I was just in, for example, Lewiston, Maine, old mill town. Free trade opens up in the 90s, 8,000 jobs go away overnight in town. And it was a prosperous place, and people had good union jobs. And then the economy slams. And I talked to people that experienced that. I saw the town for what it is now with fresh eyes. And then I want to read about it and understand that more. And if I go into a place, I do a bit of research beforehand, whatever I shoot on. But if I go in as an expert, for example,
I see.
I
The
want
humility
the
of-
audience is we're on a journey together.
Yeah.
That's why I self-shoot. It makes them more on the ground. It's full docu-realism. There's no voiceover. There's not really any B-roll, because that to me creates distance between the audience and me. Now, every style has its strengths and weaknesses. But I want to go in, ask the questions with a bit of knowledge, but learn. Because if I go in and I'm with the Hasidic Jews and I start talking to the audience, like we're in with the Satmars right now, the Lubavitch over here, and then I start like, they're gonna be like, you lost me. This is too technical. I'm learning through the lady that shops at Gucci that she's Lubavitch, and the Satmars are too conservative. They'd never do that in a million years. And I'm showing it, and she's telling me. then the audience, then we can all be on this journey together. Then it's more interesting.
So what I'm hearing is conscientiously gather a diversity of viewpoints. Don't just go in. And
100%.
also, weirdly, is like try not to dig too deep even, or because even just like studying a place, it's not, like you're saying, it's not the real thing. So in a way, by going too deep, it almost leaves people less room to form their own opinions or to discover like the tangible realities that don't get picked up in like a book or a movie or something.
Well, I want to always leave meat on the bone of the videos. So like there's something in it you can really think about. Like to me, good cinema is always something like you think about the day after a good movie. And it's not cinema what I'm doing, but I want people to be able to like it sparks something, or there has to be depth in it, in my opinion. There can be humor, there can be lightness, there can be but I want depth, so you walk away like you didn't just waste your time. It's not just, I'm not a great performer, I'm not a great host, as in like I'm gonna just put the camera on me and do my thing. I have no interest in that. My job is being the conduit from the story on the ground in America, because we're all in our own bubbles. There's no way around that. If you're in the hood, you're in bubble. If you're in the rich hood, you're in that bubble. It doesn't matter. We're all in bubbles. In this channel, and the book allows you to get into a bubble maybe you've never experienced. And it just recalibrates. It always recalibrates you a little bit when you get out of your bubble and you can see things from a different perspective.
Something I want to share with the audience, because a lot of you guys have learned about me through personality psychology. Game Tree uses personality psychology and matching. So Peter is an ISTJ, which I couldn't figure it out through years of knowing you, because speaking of bubbles, the stereotype of an ISTJ is like an accountant or somebody who stays in the bubble.
Definitely not that.
And I find you like such a good exception to that. Just the other day we hung out and you said that if there's this graffiti here and it's gone in 5 years and it's been painted over, like I'll notice that. That's like an ISTJ type mind, or you talk about knowing the facts and experiencing things yourself, being a tangential learner. And so a lot of people, like for example, even in the personality psychology audience, might have trouble wrapping things in that bubble, but being able to understand that there's exceptions, or things take a lot of different forms, or that there's a lot more different frames that can apply that cancel out in different ways. But that's something that, for people interested in personality psychology, it'll be fascinating if they ever look back through this and see like, oh, I can see the ISTJ-ness here.
Yeah, and I think it's important for your audience, if they're trying to figure out what they're doing on their next step, is we're all dealt a deck of cards. And what I've realized in this work is everyone's dealing with some sort of shit. Like most people are dealing with something. And you do the best with the deck of cards you have. If you don't have a close family and you've tried, you've done everything you can, well, you got a bad card on that front, but maybe you speak English and you're born in the US, so you have all this opportunity at your fingertips. Okay, so you got good cards there. Like I have my bad cards. I know where my strengths and weaknesses are. And think through those when you're thinking of what you're going to do. Like I know how to shoot a camera. My videos are also a visual journey. If I didn't have that capability to understand framing and how things look on camera, then my whole shtick wouldn't work right now.
Even like stamina and stuff, like you're on the road, you're changing time zones, you might be tired. So even your athleticism helps.
I like the struggle a bit. I like the pain a bit. And that's just growing up, living on the plantation where I grew up with my parents were just like hardcore on the work. We always had to do work.
And this brings us back to diving into the Pacific Ocean at 7 a.m. on
You gotta
Mondays
feel
in the winter.
some suffering, because on the other end, you get the reward of that. And people have different tolerance for that. My wife doesn't want to go travel India. I've done my India time. That's suffering in its own way.
Peter, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you as a friend. I appreciate your mission. Like, I believe in you from the beginning.
Cheeky.
And
You too, Cheeky.
I think you're doing great things in the world. Guys watching this, I really believe that the values of your frame of mind of authenticity, honesty, being straight up, hard work, independent people, being tough, responsible for ourselves, but then from there being able to expand out. And especially unity, respecting people you don't disagree, are really important messages and things that I personally want to see more in the world and also help foster within the Game Tree community. So thank you for coming in, and for people to get more of your stories, your comedy, and also like living and being and experiencing these values that I see you that show up so well in you. Will you share a bit more about where people can connect with you, support you, and also to learn more about your book and your book tour?
Yeah, if you're a reader or want the audio book, so link down below. You can buy the book. It goes live depending on when you post this. It's either live or it's not, but August 4th it goes live. Doing a book tour, New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Phoenix, LA, Miami, Palm Beach Gardens. If you want to meet in person, that'll be in the link under my website. What you get is a ticket, which comes with a book, which means we meet in person, high five, handshake, signed book. Just cool moment for everyone to get together. The videos, Juki's got the link down below to YouTube. And that's about it. I don't think I got anything to say.
In the spirit of connection, if any of you actually want to go do that, feel free to post in the comments. And if anybody else watching this posts, you guys could actually meet up and make a new friend, even at the book signings and stuff.
Yeah. Juke, thank you. Love what you're doing. And I like this turn where you want to be, it seems like more of in a mentor position, because you're no longer a young buck and you have some wisdom to share. I always like picking on age or hair when I'm older and have no hair. You know what I mean? Sometimes people don't get the joke. They're like, take it personally. Like, what are you picking on my hair for? I'm like, I got no hair. Right? You getting it, Juke? You get the joke? It's not that funny? Okay.
I get it. I've heard that one.
You heard that one.
I've seen it played out.
But doing more of this helps, and that's what the internet's great for. And you said all these compliments about me. I'm not perfect. I have my battles. I debate with people, and the people that are closest to you, sometimes it's the hardest. Like when I roll up on some stranger, I don't care about whatever they say. I could care less, right? For me, it's just a window in. But when you're with people you've been close to for a long time, and I just think the times we're in, a lot of people have hardened, and you can no longer have like these creative, multifaceted conversations where, have you thought about this way? Or just because I say this doesn't mean it's fully my position, or let's just not break it into red and blue. That's where it gets really frustrating, I would say, these days.
There's a line in Fallout that everybody wants to save the world, they just can't agree how.
Yeah.
And when everybody feels like the world's starting to circle the drain, tensions rise and our opinions get really entrenched.
Yeah.
So I think part of what's going to most get us there is lowering those walls and relaxing a bit, while still being serious about it.
My last point, the online reality and the on-the-ground reality, totally separate. So if I'm online, if I go to X right now, looks awful out there. And then when I go downtown Austin, there's a great energy, people smiling, holding doors open. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's like two different universes. I try to bring that on the ground reality and put it online, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because it's interesting when you go to some far out places. I can be in rural wherever, Wyoming, and this old guy telling me all about the country. And I'm like, where have you traveled recently? Nowhere. He's just regurgitating his news, right? And it's with conviction, and I'm like, man, sort of off in many ways on this one. Yeah. Thanks, Juke.
Yeah, good to see you.